Hi, I'm Deb, and this is Now We're Cooking. I just came in from the garden, and these herbs are so fragrant. You know, it's really easy to grow herbs in a small patch of land, but one of the problems that we always have is they're either growing too fast and you don't know what to do with them, or they're growing too slow and you need some. So today on Now We're Cooking, we're going to teach you how to save some herbs to use in the future, and when we come right back, we're going to start out with an aromatic herb roasted chicken. Hi, look at these beautiful citrus, oranges, and lemons. Did you know that the beautiful citrus, the ones that are perfect, are not always juicy, healthy, or flavorful? When you're picking out citrus, pick out the smooth skin citrus with flat ends. Like this orange here has a nice flat end. It has a couple blemishes. Nature is never perfect. This is a perfect orange, and that's not always the juiciest orange nor the most flavorful. But avoid these knobby ends. You see how that lemon has a knobby end? Usually the pointy end oranges with the coarse skin are the ones that are thick skins and less juice. So when picking out your citrus, pick out citrus that is a little bit of blemishes on it, smooth skin, and flat ends. This is your Food Smart quick tip of the day. Fun, fast, and healthy eating is fun, fast, and healthy. And did you know that your fun, fast, and healthy eating choices start at the grocery store? If you don't have it in your house, you certainly can't eat it, now can you? So the first step in fun, fast, and healthy eating is to decipher the ingredients list. When you're at the grocery store, you need to allow extra time so that you can read the ingredients list. So when looking at your ingredients list, be sure to check for the first 3 ingredients. Those need to be your most quality ingredients, because the first 3 ingredients of your product by weight is 80% of the product. So be careful to avoid buying your products based on the label, because the label is designed for you to buy it. It's a marketing tool, and they can say anything they want on the label, but the only real facts are in the ingredients list. So look for quality ingredients in the first 3 ingredients on your ingredients list, and after that, make sure all the ingredients are recognizable ingredients. If you don't know what it is, chances are it's a man-made product or a chemical. And you know, chemicals have no nutritional value. So look for recognizable ingredients and make sure the first 3 ingredients are the best ingredients possible. This is your Food Smart quick tip of the day. Decipher your ingredients list. Make your best eating choices at the grocery store. Tired of the rat race? Need extra money? I'm looking for special people, motivated people, people who want to make money and have fun doing it. Working from my home, I've reduced stress in my life, and I enjoy life every day. Are you ready to make a change for the better? I would love to teach you how. Call me, 751-2793, or check it out on the web at foodsmart.tv. Call now, 751-2793. Hi, I'm Deb Bixler, and this is Now We're Cooking. Today we're making a herb aromatic roast chicken, as well as teaching everybody how to store herbs for the future. So I did wash my herbs because even though I know that they're organic, I grew them myself, you know, they're not, there's a lot of soot in the air. So you do want to make sure to wash your herbs very well. And what we're doing for our roast chicken is we're just going to cook it with sage only. One of the things about sage is that it's really best when you use it by itself. That keeps the flavor nicely, and a lot of times it doesn't complement it well to mix it with other herbs. So the sage is sort of rubbery, the skin or the leaves themselves, and they're easy to cut just like this when you stack them up into a neat stack like I have here. And that way you can just make a chiffonade or a julienne of the fresh herbs. So we're going to put a lot of herbs here. I have some underneath the chicken, totally surrounding the chicken, and inside the chicken. I'm also going to put inside the chicken some onion and some lemon. And then fill it up with some more herbs. You can never get too much sage. You know, dry sage loses a little bit of its flavor. What I'm going to do is make a pocket here and put some of these chiffonade of basil underneath the skin. because this way it'll infuse into the meat and we can remove it later. It smells great. When you make dried sage, and a lot of different herbs as well, a lot of the flavor goes away, but it seems to be especially noticeable with sage. And so that's why I really like to grow fresh sage. Let's see, I got sage everywhere, don't I? I still have another piece here. Now, I did put one of these chickens in the oven about 2.5 hours ago. Now, this chicken normally could cook, it's only 4 pounds, and it could normally cook in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. But I like to slow roast it. I do eat my main meal of the day in the morning, and so because I work in the evening, and I can put this in the oven about 9 o'clock and slow roast it at a little bit under 300 degrees. And this chicken is cooked to perfection, slow roast. Oh wow, smell those herbs. And this one is ready to go in. So when you slow roast, I use a temperature, as I said, just under 300 degrees. And then I can go out and do errands. I can go to the Y and do my workout. And the chicken's roasting the whole time while I'm away. So I do have a, where did I put my towel? There it is. I do have a mild bleach solution in my water, and that helps keep the chicken juice under control. So I have a small garden, as you might have noticed. And my favorite herbs, so I pick out the herbs that I like the best. My favorite herbs are rosemary. And rosemary is a evergreen. Of course, you can't leave it out all year around here. When you strip herbs, just strip the leaves off in reverse direction. And then the tips are nice and tender, so you won't have to worry about that. You can put it in there and chop it up, and it's nice and tender. Another one of my favorites is oregano. And same thing here. And thyme. Where's my thyme? Here's the thyme. So it's sage, oregano, thyme, sage, oregano, thyme, sage, oregano, thyme. And I just can't think of what the other one is. Rosemary. I just was talking about that, wasn't I? All right. So they are easy to strip, all of them. You just strip it back. And that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of people, one of the reasons why they don't deal with fresh herbs is because they don't know how to clean them. So you just strip it backwards and then pull it forwards, and that takes all the delicate leaves off. So we're going to make a couple different things here. What we're going to do is store them. And that's the problem, as I said earlier, when you store them, is you don't always have them when you need them. So if you can process them, and we're going to chop all these up. Now, so when you buy dried herbs, they've lost a lot of their essential oils. But when you have nice and fresh ones, they keep those essential oils. When you raise your own herbs, they're not hybridized. One of the things about herbs is they're mainly a wild species, as opposed to a lot of the other vegetables that we grow. So herbs are trouble-free. They grow fast, and they're easy to deal with. All right, and so as I said about the sage, the chopper machine gadget doesn't work very well. So you do cut that one by hand, and what we're going to do is freeze these herbs instead of drying them. Because when you freeze the herbs, we're going to protect the essential oils. You know, you can tell that us human beings don't have the same relationship with nature as we used to. Back in the days bygone, there was thousands and thousands of herbs. They used them for medicinal purposes, magical purposes. They used them for health reasons, pretty much anything. All the plants in the world were divided up into 3 categories: trees, shrubs, and herbs. Even in the Bible, they talked about the grasses being herbs. So you can show how much distance we've come from nature in these days. So it's a good idea to get back to nature and grow some herbs. Today, most people only think of a couple dozen herbs that there are, and there was thousands. So we're going to freeze these herbs. And the best way to freeze them is to protect them with a little bit of oil. So all you want to do is process your herbs, and I put way too much oil in there. And just put a little bit of olive oil in. And that way, the olive oil, you make it like a wet sand. You could use canola oil as well. It depends on whether you want to have the olive flavor. If you don't want that olive flavor in some of your dishes, you would use a canola oil instead. So what you do is just wet it with like a little wet sand, and then you can freeze this. And what's going to happen is that the olive oil or canola oil is going to protect the herb, seal in that essential oils, and when you go to get it out and make your recipe, it's going to be frozen, but you'll be able to take a knife and just take a little bit out of the freezer and stir it into your stew. So when you do this, or whatever you're making, your sauté dish, it preserves the delicate balance and the oils, but it just changes texture just a little bit. But normally when you cook with it, it's not going to matter so much. So it captures that garden flavor and brings it into your kitchen in the middle of winter. Another thing that you can do with herbs, I still have my dividing up. So what I did was freeze the sage separately, because I want to use that separately, but I made a blend here of the thyme, rosemary, and oregano. Now I'm going to make a rosemary butter, so I'll use the rest of my herbs in there. And you could season this with other things. You know I'm not big on butter. We could put a little nutmeg in it here if we wanted. But I think I will put some garlic in. They say that sage is a powerful herb for longevity. So if you want to live longer, use sage. At least that's what they say anyway. You know what? I think I'll do another garlic in there. And the one thing they say about thyme is that the ancient peoples used to use it to overcome shyness, which is kind of different. So this we're making is called a compound butter, also known as, when you go to a restaurant, you might see fish maitre d'. Maitre d' hotel is what it really stands for, but that's in the style of the hotel or the restaurant. And so we're going to freeze this. It's a compound butter. Once you get this mixed up like this, and put it in the freezer. And the way you do that is with parchment paper. So like I said, I'm not big on butter, but this is a great way to preserve herbs for future use. And then say you have a steak or a fish dish that you want just a little bit of extra flavor on, you would get this out. And once you get it in there, then you can shape it. And you make a log. And just twist the ends and put it in the freezer. And so when you use this, you make a steak or your fish or a little vegetable, you just take it out. You can keep it frozen. Just slice off a thin little slice and put it on the top of your fish, and it'll bring out that nice fresh garden flavor, and this will be preserved for months and months at a time. Now in this bowl we have our fat-free cream cheese, and what we're going to do is make a nut ball, cheese ball. And so I'm going to use the oregano, and I have the thyme in here. Put a little bit of garlic in this one as well. Now, rosemary was the herb of lovers. And they used to use oregano to make crowns or garlands for bridal parties, the brides. One of the things lately is that there's been like a resurgence in the use of herbs. And I think that might have a little bit to do with the fact that we've been experimenting with we've become more global. There's a wider variety of cuisines that we're using on a regular basis. And so people are more open to using different herbs and becoming exposed to more exotic herbs. These herbs aren't exotic at all, really. These are the basics. Now, everything we've done so far you can do with almost any herbs. Some of the herbs, like, say, basil, are really going to discolor when they freeze, but the flavor is going to be the same. So as long as you're cooking with it, it's not going to matter that much. So herbs bring a lot of extra nutrition into your diet. And you know those things I was telling you about shyness and health reasons, you know, they didn't just make that stuff up. They probably discovered that people who use these herbs had better medicinal values. So it's a good way to bring a lot of variety and a lot of health into your diet. And it can transform a plain old meal into an enchanting dinner. So this is Deb Bixler with Now We're Cooking. And when we come back, we're going to finish our herbal cheese ball and do some other tricky things with our herbs. Hi, it's me again. Did you know that your state of health is a choice? Did you also know that your state of prosperity, your level of wealth, is also a choice? You know, because of the choices that our forefathers and foremothers made years ago, we are lucky enough to be Americans today. But I want to show you 3 scary thoughts to consider. And the first one is this. Did you know that only 3% of Americans ever achieve financial independence in their lifetime? Now, when you look at that in reverse, 97% of Americans die poor or have to work all the way into retirement. Now, consider the fact that this is the wealthiest nation in the world, and very few people actually achieve financial independence. The second scary thought that I want you to consider is that 80% of the American population has a preventable serious disease. We are the healthiest, wealthiest nation in the world with supposedly the best healthcare system, yet 80% of the population has a severe health issue. And the third scary fact is this. Today's generation of children is the first generation of children in America to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. So here we are, the richest, healthiest nation in the world, and our children are expected to die young and poor. Wow! What's wrong with this picture? The healthiest, wealthiest nation in the world, and we can't even achieve the American dream. Do you know that every choice you make every day takes you a little bit closer to health and wealth or a little bit further away? As a health and prosperity coach, I will teach you how to make better choices. As a health and prosperity coach, I will teach you how to be willing to actually make those choices. Would you like to change the future for your children? Would you like to ensure that your children have a long, healthy, prosperous life? Together, we can make a difference in the future of your children. When you invite me to your club, school, church, corporation, or even your home for a private health and prosperity workshop, I will teach you and your family and coworkers how to have a long and healthy, prosperous life. We can make the difference in future generations when we take action now. Give me a call at 717-751-2793 because your kids deserve to have a long and healthy life and to live the American dream. 717-751-2793. I am looking forward to talking to you. Hi, welcome back. This is Deb with Now We're Cooking. And as you can see, we made our aromatic herb roast chicken, and we've been storing herbs. I have my cheese ball here, which we're just crusting in nuts. You know, using herbs is a great way to cut back on salt. And salt and sodium is not good for your heart. Now, we took a little trip to the Susan P. Burns Health and Education Center, and they told us a little bit about salt. Hi. Zoe and I came down to the Susan P. Burns Health Education Center to see what exactly salt does to our arteries. And we're here with Betsy Aumiller. Could you tell us a little bit about the salt problem?
Well, I'm glad you guys came down today because, you know, here at the center, our mission is to promote healthy lifestyles through education. And many times we have to point out to kids and adults what it is about salt that makes an impact on the cardiovascular system and high blood pressure.
Okay.
You can see here, Zoe is holding a model of an artery. And the yellow parts right here are really globs of plaque that folks hear about clogging up the arteries. But as far as salt affects blood pressure, we can see that the higher the blood pressure gets, the more pressure there is on the artery wall.
So blood pressure is when the fat builds up so much that the blood can't get through. Is that right?
Well, it's actually the force exerted on the artery wall itself.
Because it's too tight.
It's too tight. And
Right.
as that happens more and more, it damages the inner lining of the artery, making it easier for the bits of plaque to catch on.
I see.
And so those types of things work in tandem to make our health risks a little higher. This is the maximum amount of salt that your body needs to function on a daily basis. And it's not really that much, as you can see. Now we're going to move on to our medical experts in the field say that, hey, you can have up to a teaspoon of salt each day, which is about 2,400 milligrams. Now if we compare these to the big whopper on the end here is 2.5 teaspoons of salt, which is the actual amount that a typical person eats each day. So salt is important to our body, but when we take in too much, some people are very sensitive to the effects that salt have in the body.
Right.
And sometimes doctors will recommend decreasing salt.
But a lot of times people don't even realize how much salt they're eating because it's added to so many different foods.
You're right. And you don't know unless you read the label, check for the milligrams under the sodium label there, and look for foods that are lighter version or sodium-free or reduced sodium and see what other choices you can make.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks, Betsy, for having Zoe and I here.
Okay. Well, thanks, Betsy, for giving us a tour of your center. They have a beautiful facility down there. It's downtown York, and they do a great job on health education. So the point here is, though, you want to cut back on your salt. Do your heart a favor and increase on the amount of herbs you use. So another thing that you can do with herbs, now a lot of people want to use just plain old fresh herbs. So the easiest way to store herbs fresh is to just have a nice Tupperware thing, put a little bit of damp paper towel in the bottom. It could be a generic plastic container as well. And just lay your herbs right down in there and put a damp paper towel over top of it. Just like that. And what you're going to find when you store your herbs this way is you'll be amazed at how long they will keep with just like that in your refrigerator, probably a week or more. So that's a nice way to store fresh herbs as well. And if you really have a lot of herbs, like I always have a ton of sage, you can even use them as a centerpiece. Or, again, it makes a nice aromatic decoration. I'm not a very good flower arranger, but if I had some flowers out of my garden, I could stick them in there and make a centerpiece just like that, put a couple of buds in there. But one of my favorite ways to serve the cream cheese mix that we made our cheese ball out of, I put a little bit in my decorator. And, you know, when you go to fancy restaurants, they make all different kinds of fancy hors d'oeuvres. And this fresh nasturtium, which I picked out of my garden as well, this is an hors d'oeuvre right here. You go to a fancy restaurant and you might pay $3 each at a cocktail party to get an hors d'oeuvre like this. So these would get great garnishes for your salads or impress your friends. Now, one thing about nasturtiums is they really are edible, you know. And we're going to expect everybody to try one over the next week or so. So isn't that beautiful? And the nice, intense flavor of our cream cheese mixture is going to complement that peppery flavor of the nasturtiums very nicely. So there's a lot of different things you can do with your herbs. We have, for those of you who weren't here in our first set, we made a compound butter, a maitre d' hotel. And we also made some herbs for freezing. These would be the sage mixed with canola oil and the mix spice blend that we're going to use for stews and things over the course of the winter. Your herbs are going to grow really fast in the spring and really fast in the fall. And in between, if you keep harvesting them on a periodic basis and processing them, you'll have them to use year-round. Now, another thing that I like to do Now, we don't use a whole lot of butter at my house. And you can put your herbs into a jar. This particular jar has rosemary, sage, and thyme. And it also has the garlic. I put some cloves and peppercorns in there and just poured the vinegar in, a plain white vinegar, and put the lid on. And this will be good for you on your vegetables instead of butter. And it'll keep for months. What I would do is make one of these ahead of time and let it sit, and the flavors infuse into your vinegar. And if you're always one month ahead on them, they're going to have nice, rich flavor. Growing herbs is very rewarding. And your garden is always going to be fragrant. And the plants, the herbs, have nice benefits for the neighboring plants. When you mix your herbs in between all your different plants, the neighboring plants are going to grow better as well. What I've done over the last year is every year I put in a new herb. And my sage plant is like this big. So you do get a lot of fresh herbs on a regular basis. And your culinary creations are going to be enhanced so much that you will not believe it. So this aromatic herb chicken here smells delicious. And when you slow roast it, it's going to be tender and juicy and just succulent. So my name is Deb Bixler. When you stay tuned to the credits, you'll be able to find out how to reach us. And we'd love to have one of your recipes to restyle for one of our next shows. Herbs are fun, fast, and easy to grow, and they'll make you a healthier person. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Eat your flowers. Did you have fun enjoying today's show? Imagine watching Now We're Cooking over and over again as many times as you want. You will be cooking just like me in no time. Today's show is available on DVD for only $24.95. To order yours now, go to www.foodsmart.tv and your family will be healthier for it. But wait, if you order today, I will give you 2 shows for only $39.95. When you have 2 Now We're Cooking shows in your home, your family will be experiencing a newfound way of eating and renewed health. I know that you can't believe this amazing offer, but wait, there's more. Order within the next 30 minutes and get 3, that's right, 3 of the funny, hilarious, healthy Now We're Cooking all on one DVD for only $44.95. Wow, you can't pass up a deal like this. Don't miss out. Go to www.foodsmart.tv now and get your 3, that's right, 3 episodes of Now We're Cooking at www.foodsmart.tv.